Hi guys, I am coming back to YouTube, I think. This is a new channel, so if you've gotten here, it's probably from Rockin' Roberta. If not, then you are interested in Suboxone and recovery like I am. I had a previous channel that I started a few years ago, and my outlook about the whole situation has kind of changed a lot, and I feel like it's a significant change, and I wanted to start over and let you guys see where I'm at now. So previously I had tapered down on Suboxone years ago, and then I got back on it after an injury, and I wanted to taper down again, and I was like gung-ho about getting off. I was just like, I'm done with this. This is not what I want to do. I don't want to be taking this forever, and I was rushing it. This was about 2016, I think. Didn't work out, surprise, surprise. And I'm not in a rush anymore, and I'm actually a really big advocate for Suboxone and for doing it properly. And I've been met with a lot of backlash about that. People just really think that they know what's best for all addicts because they know it's best for them, or they know it's best for one addict, and it just doesn't work like that. So I wanted to kind of start fresh. So welcome to my channel. Don't know how often I'll post videos, but I really felt like this one needed to be made. So these are my reasons why it's okay to be on medication-assisted treatment. That could be Suboxone, Vivitrol, methadone, Subutex, Subzolve, whatever. That is medication-assisted treatment. Really feel strongly about the use of these drugs. Like, I feel like they are going to change the opiate epidemic. They really have the potential to. But there's a lot of resistance against them right now, and I wanted to take the time to make a video expressing my top reasons for advocating for medication-assisted treatment like Suboxone. Suboxone is my personal choice, but you can choose any of them as long as you do the medication with the doctor and do your therapy. Like, it's going to make a big change in your life. So without further ado, here are my reasons. Number one, there is a reason that people get on Suboxone or whatever medication. Everybody that I see, not everybody, but I see all these videos on YouTube of people that are finally tapering off. You know, they're really low down and they're ready to make the plunge, and they're like, I would never recommend anyone take Suboxone. If I could go back, I would just, you know, go into withdrawals and go cold turkey. Yeah, that sounds great in theory, and I was definitely one of those people that said that at one point, but there's a reason we get on Suboxone. We aren't strong enough to just get off of opiates. You can't just stop using dope and withdrawal and everything will be better. That just doesn't make sense. There's so many things that happen when you take Suboxone and go into a program. It's not a short-term thing anymore. Like, back in the day, you used to start 8 milligrams one day, 6 the next day, 4, 2, 0, and you're out of rehab. But now you are on Suboxone for a long time, and people get up in arms about this, thinking like you're replacing one drug for another. Well, so what? You're not killing yourself, and you're not able to stop on your own. There's no shame in that. Admitting that you are not strong enough is honestly the first step to your life in recovery. Number two, we're gonna talk about that replacing one drug for another thing. That is just insane, because if you are a opiate addict and you take the medication as prescribed, you will not feel euphoria. I cannot speak for methadone. I do not have any personal experience with that, and I have heard people do feel, you know, slightly high when they're taking it if they're not at the accurate dose. But Suboxone does not produce euphoria. It doesn't. And the only time that people do feel euphoria is if you are abusing Suboxone. If you are not an opiate addict and you do not need to take it, it will get you high. It's a partial agonist, like, it still works. It just doesn't work for opioid addicts. And there is the potential for abuse for non-addicts. There's also the potential for overdose for people that are not addicts. But I think that the pros greatly outweigh the cons when it comes to this. Like, yes, overdose and abuse is very serious, and we should take that into consideration, but I do think that they are doing that with the prescribing practices and how you are required to go see the doctor every so often. Some facilities make you go back every week, so you don't even get more than 7 days worth. And honestly, like, depending on where you're at in your recovery, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Number 3, using drugs or abusing drugs changes the way that your brain functions. It just does. You flood your prefrontal cortex with dopamine, and all of a sudden everyday things don't feel good anymore. You don't want to have sex, you don't want to enjoy your favorite food, you don't give a shit if you shower. Like, you lose all enjoyment in life, and sometimes people don't recover. Like, their brain doesn't heal, especially if they just, kick it cold turkey and then don't do any actual work. Your brain is going to still have that underlying change, and Suboxone goes in and fills your opiate receptors as if it is a full agonist opiate, and tricks your brain into thinking that you're using, so you don't feel sick, you have no withdrawal symptoms, but then you can learn new skills, new habits, new coping mechanisms, new defense mechanisms. Like, you just relearn how to live. And learning changes the brain, so therefore you can change the brain back. Maybe not completely back, but you can definitely fix some of the damage that you've done. But if you just go cold turkey and you try and work the steps, like, you are just... Okay, that came out wrong. Working the steps is great, but if you go cold turkey and you just try and get through it on your own, you are setting yourself up for failure. Like, Suboxone is just a tool to help you get through that easier. There's no shame in needing to use a tool. Number 4, Suboxone allows you to exist like a normal person. Suddenly, you're not worried about scoring your next dose or how you're gonna get well in the morning. You just are. You wake up, you take your medication, and you're normal. You don't have those cravings, those urges to, like, go out and do stuff other than, like, normal life. Now you can go and get a job. You can work a 9 to 5. You can build your family and your relationships, and you can do all these amazing things. And like I said, you are learning new and better and healthier habits and ways of life. And Suboxone really, really makes that possible. Because if you go into withdrawals and you kick it cold turkey, yeah, eventually that will subside, but there's all of that emotional damage, like all of the reasons why you started using it's just still right under the surface. And eventually, with enough time or another stress, like another bad event in your life, that stuff can come rearing its ugly head. I thought that I was fine. I got off Suboxone in 2010. I was great for like 4 years, and I injured myself. And I was doing physical therapy, and I thought, yeah, the doctor's recommending it. I'm doing physical therapy. I'm doing all this stuff. Like, as soon as I took it, because I wasn't working on anything, I just got off Suboxone, and I thought I was good. And as soon as I took it, I felt it. And you just know. You're not ready. And I wasn't ready, so I made the choice to go back on Suboxone, and I do not regret it. Number 5, I think that Vivitrol and Suboxone and medications like this are going to be the way of the future, because the 12 steps works really great for a lot of people, but there's a lot of people that it does not work for. Maybe they're not ready to fully work the steps. Maybe that's, maybe it's on them. But either way, it's not working, and that's the problem. Like, we don't want to just have a one-size-fits-all approach. And with Suboxone or Vivitrol or methadone, there are so many options now. You can see a doctor daily, you can see a doctor once a week, you can do it once a month, you can see your therapist when you see your doctor. The best facility I went to was in South Carolina, and you literally went in, sat in a room with a doctor, a psychologist, a nurse, you took a drug test, and then you sat there and talked for 30 minutes. And then whenever you wanted, they were available weekdays to just have therapy sessions. You could bring your family, you could bring your friends, like, it was great. And there needs to be a new approach, because what we have been doing isn't working for everybody. Like, yes, it has worked for some, for a lot actually, but we need to be more inclusive, and this medication-assisted treatment really, I think it's going to change things, and I hope that you guys give it a chance. I hope that you think, you don't know what's going to work for everybody. And I understand that a lot of you have personal experiences or know somebody that has been personally affected by medication-assisted treatment, but we don't know everybody, and we're trying to build an inclusive approach to recovery. And I am a huge advocate for an eclectic approach to recovery. You know, I pull from my faith with my church, and I pull from the 12 steps, what I did, and I pulled from Smart Recovery, and I learned, I went back to school, I'm studying psychology. You know, I'm not a medical professional, I'm just an addict trying to figure this shit out like everybody else. And, you know, I'm here to support you guys. Hopefully you guys can support me. I know that some of you aren't gonna like what I have to say, and that's okay, but I hope that maybe one person is enlightened by this. So, alright, well, I might make more videos, I might not. This is the one thing I really wanted to get out there. So, thanks for stopping by.